Right, welcome to another edition of Richard's Carpy Bits, and here we go. Today we are going to talk about chod rigs, and I'll show you how to make them. They're sort of an easy and a complicated rig to make at the same time. I mean, there's not much to them once you got used to them, but it does take a little bit of practice to get there. But once you're there, it's quite easy. The whole idea of it is literally it will sit up like that above, as it says, the chod, sort of, you know, very light weed and chod and all the muck on the bottom, and as the carp comes cruising along, it's an almost curiosity bait, just sitting above it, and hopefully the carp will take it. There's a few different variations on how to do it, but I'll show you mine. It's also another variation of it, and we'll talk about that a little later, but for now I'll show you this. So what you need to make a chod rig is lighter, bait, scissors, believe it or not, some dental floss, and a hook called a choddy hook. And the reason it's got to be a choddy hook is because if you look at this hook in comparison to other hooks, I suppose, it's just slightly different. I'll grab another hook just to show you. And there's a normal hook, and the difference is, as you can see, a normal hook goes in and the eye points towards the hook, towards the hook point at least. This eye goes round as normal, but the eye points outwards, away, and that will be made apparent later. So yeah, a choddy hook. Next thing you need is a big eyed swivel, so exactly the same as a normal swivel, but just with a larger eye, and that's really important as well. And the last thing you're going to need is a little micro rig ring. That down. Well, that was not the last thing you're going to need. Obviously you're going to need some line as well, and as you can see, a couple of different variations of the same thing, but yeah, all it is stiff fluorocarbon, and it really is stiff stuff. As you can see, it's high memory, so if you bend it, it's going to stay in that position. Right, what you need to do is take yourself off a section, and as I always say, take off a generous section. It's only going to end up a short rig, but take off a generous section. And what I do is try to cut it in an angle, and do that to both ends. Help if I had sharp scissors, but do that to both ends so you've got a nice point. And when you're trying to get that through the eye of your hook, you'll see why. Now, what you do is you take your hook and you feed it through the eye of your hook, obviously towards the point, like so. But what you want to do, and this is very important with this rig, is go with the natural curve. There's always a natural curve in line, and make sure you go with the natural curve. Then just push that up against the shank of the hook and start winding up the shank of the hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I like to do it about 5 times. And then, again, as always, just push your line through the eye of your hook towards the point. Right? So there's the first stage. Next stage is to take your rig ring, a tiny thing which I'm going to lose now, and just feed it on to your line, the part what's above your hook, so it slides down there nicely. And then you take this big piece of tag end and you carefully push that back through the eye. That's why I cut it in an angle, is so it will slide through nice and easily. What you want to do is you want to pull it all the way tight. And here's the important bit. Cut off the excess, but leave yourself a little bit to play with. So cut that off and take your lighter. And what you want to do is you want to take the hook and the eye and all your line, apart from your little piece of tag end, in between your fingers, so you can't burn your line, because yeah, that's not going to catch you any fish. Spark up your lighter and just gently, watching your fingers, just blob, and it will blob, and then just push it down with your lighter like so. What that will do is hold it in place just there, and you'll have a nice little D. Now I like to keep it nice and close, but you can have a larger D if you wish. Next stage of the rig is to take your big eyed swivel, and you want to feed it through the smaller eye and go up to about the point where you want. So if you're only fishing a small amount of chod, or you know, really delicate weed, just a small chod will do. Now, because we're using a stiff rig, you don't need to do this sort of 5 or 6 times. Just 1, 2 times round will be sufficient enough. And then feed it through. Simple as that. And pull it down tight, trying to keep the swivel at the point you want it at. And just work it in, remembering you're going to get a bit of movement. And as always, wet the knot like so, and pull it down nice and tight. You can work it in with your fingernails, keep that knot nice and moist, and you won't get a knot what slips. Now, as always, cut that excess off, leaving yourself a small tag end. And again, this bit's personal preference, but just mount that down so you've got a nice little bit there. just in case your knot slips. And there's your rig, simple as that.